Hello, everyone. You are welcome to the JMA Connections this Friday, which is the 29th of May 2026. And of course, as usual, I'm delighted to be on this platform this day. So we have another moment of communion, another moment of exchange. And of course, I'm delighted with the feedback. The continuous feedback that I'm getting from you all on the territory, especially in the southern Cameroons, and from some of our brethren in the diaspora who have, developed renewed interest in our liberation movement. And of course, I really like to say that we are at a very, very important turning point in our liberation movement, and this turning point is so capital because this is the ultimate moment we had waited for. While a lot of people at times felt that this liberation movement was going to drag on for too long, I know that there are, quite others who have been reading the situation over in La République du Cameroon and understanding that there will come a time where the dynamics will change and change so fast and so drastically that no one will even understand exactly what is going on. And I like to say that increasingly, the majority of the people of the southern Cameroons have confidence in exactly how this liberation movement is going to end. Of course, it's definitely going to end in freedom land. And I want to point out that those who are still standing on the sidelines, it is important to come back to the fold, because the time is coming where we will need every hand on deck. I mean, every hand on deck to cross the finished line. This liberation movement started at an ideal moment. I mean, this phase of our liberation movement, which was ignited in 2016, started at an ideal moment. Ideal moment because we started towards the end of an era in La République du Cameroon, and that is very important. I won't get into a lot of details with that, but those who understand me definitely know what I'm talking about. And like I say, I'd like to express hearty thanks to those who continue to contribute by way of dropping comments on the comment section. Of course, your feedback is very important to me, and I believe it's important for the entire audience, because everyone has the opportunity to read what is written and also to become part of the conversation. And I like to point this out. Some people believe that it's possible for us to talk about what is happening in the southern Cameroons, to talk about our desire for freedom, to talk about our efforts to get La République du Cameroon out of our territory, without necessarily talking about the things that are happening in La République du Cameroon. Sometimes we have to be brutally honest. Like it or not, we're still tied to La République du Cameroon at this point. Things that happen in La République du Cameroon still affect life in the southern Cameroons. I mean, there is no way you can cut that off. Like right now, while you will say, talking about the measure that La République du Cameroon has put in place to tax people who travel abroad, and upon returning take the opportunity of their trip to buy themselves a new cell phone. When you get back home, they tell you have to go and declare it somewhere and pay a tax on it, whereas you're not a business person, because those who have to pay those custom duties are those who are importing for the purpose of selling. But you who is importing just one unit for your personal use, generally you're not expected to pay custom duties. That's how it's always been. But right now, they have told themselves that they've taxed people across the board in every sector to the point where they don't have what to tax people on anymore. And so right now they are looking at all other avenues besides other measures that they have taken to completely obliterate the few steps or the few regulations that still allow some measure of control by area councils on what is happening in their various areas of jurisdiction. So you see, those measures are taken there, but they will affect us in the southern Cameroons. You are a southern Cameroonian and say, don't talk about La République du Cameroon a lot because we have to focus on the southern Cameroons. But when you buy a phone, or you have a brother or sister who's used a phone and is about to upgrade, and is sending you perhaps a Samsung Galaxy S25, which will cost over $1,000, which will cost about $1,300, $1,400. At the level of Cameroon, they don't assess it at the cost that you bought it here. At the level of Cameroon, at the custom service, they will assess it at about $1,800 or $2,000, and they ask you to pay 33%. So you see, if they assess it at $2,000, that $2,000 become about over a million CFA. And when they ask you to pay 33% of that million CFA, you know how much that one comes to, right? That means at the end of the day, for that phone, you're going to pay just customs duties almost 700,000 CFA, because 33% means 330,000 times 2, that's 660,000 CFA that you pay as custom duty. It doesn't affect only citizens of La République du Cameroon. It will also affect you in the southern Cameroons, because in terms of telecommunications, we are still tied to the La République du Cameroon grid and providers. MTN, Orange, Camtel, and all the likes. So these are things that that we should know. We can't fool ourselves. The measure that La République du Cameroon has taken right now through the ministries of finance and the ministry of decentralization, that local councils will no longer collect any form of revenue at all. It is the Directorate General of Taxes in Yaounde that will collect. It will affect you in Moi. It will affect you in Furawa. It will affect you in Mundemba. It will affect you in Batibo. It will affect you in Jikwa. So it has a direct bearing on what is happening in the southern Cameroons. So there is no way we can talk, just focus on the southern Cameroons without looking at some of those things. And let me be very clear again on one very important issue. The thing that's about to happen in La République du Cameroon will have a direct bearing on exactly how we will continue to prosecute this liberation movement in the southern Cameroons. I want to assure you, when the thing that happens there will happen, you will see how the dynamics will change. You may notice completely new actors in this liberation movement whom you had never suspected will be part of this movement. And the speed at which things will go, you will even be overtaken. Who thought that you are the vanguard of the liberation movement? We need to bear all these things in mind and prepare for that very important moment that is coming. So that's it. Let's give impetus to the conversation we are having this morning. It's going to be very brief this day with this thought. Yeah. So you see, C.S. Lewis says, one of the most cowardly things ordinary people do is to shut their eyes to facts. One of the most cowardly people, or one of the most cowardly things that ordinary people do is to shut their eyes to facts. And this is really important even in our liberation movement. The facts are there and speak for themselves. Yet you discover that people continue to fall prey to sophistry. This is basically because people more and more pay attention to who is saying what, and even to the way those people say some of those things. And then it turns out to them, this may be just the right thing. Like you hear people come and say, oh no, that issue of that treaty of union, nobody has treated like before. And tell you, no, this has to do with that legal clarity. It is only now for the first time that you're hearing that there was never a treaty of union because someone went to the United Nations. But the fact is clear that we have recordings of people who were talking about this issue of treaty of union way back in the late 60s. You have recordings that demonstrate to you that at the outbreak of this phase, at the outset of this phase of our liberation movement, from 2017 until today, this issue of non-existence of a treaty of union has been on the table. Yet when we point out, people tend to ignore it. They don't see it. And then you find someone who comes and says, no, but wait a minute. There was actually even a treaty of union. And that treaty of union was signed between La République du Cameroon and the British on behalf of the southern Cameroon, on behalf of the southern Cameroons. Now you ask the question, where is it? You can't find. And then again, you see people still come asking that question. So was southern Cameroons ever independent? This is another very lousy question. They said because they say that no, southern Cameroons independence had to be achieved only after they joined La République du Cameroon. Again, the facts are clear on this. What do the facts say? The facts say that the Southern Cameroons had to achieve independence, and after achieving independence, they will sign a treaty of union with La République du Cameroon and join with La République du Cameroon. That's what it was. If the Southern Cameroons had to, its achievement of independence will materialize only after they join La République du Cameroon, there would have been no use for the independence vote that happened on the 21st of April 1961. It will simply have disappeared inside La République du Cameroon. And when you point to the facts, people say choose to ignore them. Because look at what is happening between Somalia and Somaliland. These are two territories that were actually even achieved their independence on separate days. They really achieved that independence on separate days, and they were fully independent countries that came together to join. But again, you notice that hasn't stopped Somalia from continuing to claim until today. After Somaliland decided to break off, to insist that Somaliland is their territory. This is something you need to know. Facts are always there. But it depends too often on who wants to pay attention to those facts or not pay any attention to them. La République du Cameroon is not doubting that there is no treaty of union. They know. The French are not doubting that there is no treaty of union. They know. The British are not doubting that there is no treaty of union. They know. The United Nations even gave this visual that I have behind me here to La République du Cameroon and to the people of La République du Cameroon and those of the Southern Cameroons, that there is no instrument anywhere that would cause these two maps to be, to sync into one only. That's why you see those two maps. One being the map of the Southern Cameroon with its internationally recognized boundaries, and the other with the map of La République du Cameroon. Yet this thing stands before you. These are the facts. But people still allow themselves to be manipulated by being told funny things. The fact is there that La République du Cameroon's independence was not voted on the 1st of January 1960. That the independence of La République du Cameroon was determined way back in September of 1959. There's a whole resolution on that. And then the date of maturity, the date of proclamation of that independence was set for the 1st of January 1960, and that's how it happened. Just like the independence vote for the Southern Cameroons happened on the 21st of April 1961, and then the date for its proclamation was set for the 1st of October 1961. And so when it happened on the 1st of October 1961, that is, the Southern Cameroon is proclaimed as independent, and immediately they have to join with La République du Cameroon. Somaliland and Somalia, they achieved independence separately, but 6 days after, they joined to form one country, which eventually, of course, fell apart. It's the same thing that happened between Senegal and Senegambia. So don't come to ask me if Southern Cameroons were independent. And if you see the document that constitutes the original federal constitution, which I had the opportunity, which I had the pleasure to share on this platform, that federal constitution, in it, you actually see the reference to the Southern Cameroons as the Republic of Southern Cameroons. It's written there in black and white. But just that over time, because they know that they want to, confuse the people of the Southern Cameroons and tell you that you never existed as a republic, that you never had a right to be independent, that you never ever had achieved any independence, that you have always been a territory of La République du Cameroon that went and then they just took it back. So you have a lot of online versions that have changed the language. I had to do sustained research for several months until I got the original copy on the website of a Catholic university in Illinois, in the United States of America. Even with that out there, you see the point. This is why I say the greatest that I agree with L.C. Lewis, that the greatest the most cowardly thing that ordinary people do is their determination to continue to ignore facts. The facts are there right before you. Pay attention to those facts. And so I really don't want to drag this conversation. I wanted to really just delve into some of this nitty-gritty, some of this salient things, so we know them. So that I focus on what I wanted to talk about. this whole nonsense they call census that the Republic du Cameroon is trying to conduct on our territory. No one in the southern Cameroons doubts that there are too many places in the southern Cameroons that La République du Cameroon's so-called census agents will not be able to enter. Too many parts of the southern Cameroons that even their administrators, their colonial administrators, cannot access. Too many parts of the southern Cameroons that are completely blocked from access for to these people. So how are they going to carry out that census? And what is the importance of conducting a census during a war? Because this is what it is. You know, they constantly try to give the impression to the rest of the world that normalcy has returned, peace has returned, and all of those things. And it is not true. Everyone knows it is not true. Even after the passage of the Pope, who made very strong declarations, making them understand that you can't decree peace. You have to go down there and do the hard work of ensuring that there is dialogue of ensuring that justice is done and is sin and fair to be done before you talk about peace. But they think that they can just take a shortcut, and each time they believe that using those kind of shortcuts will enable them get to places. I'm actually coming here to alert the people of the southern Cameroons, don't get yourself involved into any kind of nonsense. Those people come to your door, say they're coming for census, ask them what happened to the results of the previous census exercises. What happened? Because those results were never published. Cameroon is the only country in the world, I mean the only, where when they're talking about the population of that country, they don't know which specific census to even refer to. They just say, approximately, they just say, you don't have any specific census results to point to. Because they've conducted at least 2 census exercises, and not one of them has had the results of that census officially proclaimed. They only have snippets coming out and being suggestive of the fact that there is massive manipulation on those figures. Because first, like I said here before, we have been told forever that the far north of La République du Cameroon was the most populous, by far the most populous. And of course, it was always followed by the littoral. Because of Douala alone, you know, the littoral doesn't have as many regions as the center, but it has, I mean, by far a lot of people there, especially in the Vuri and the Mungo. These are truths that everyone knows. But you see, when they conducted the last census exercise, the results were never published, but only little snippets or little portions were thrown out there simply to satisfy the political design of the time. So suddenly from nowhere, with no one announcing any serious pandemic in the northern regions that would have decimated, hundreds of thousands of people, the far north no longer became the most populated. When they noticed that they needed to start changing the political discourse and the dynamics to say, no, the center is the one that controls everything and all of that. So they needed to make a tilt that tells you now the most populous area is the center, because they know they need those demographics for the manipulations that they are preparing right ahead. And then suddenly, the population of what they call Northwest and Southwest, oh my goodness, dropped to points where people ask themselves, well, wait a minute, did something happen? And then they themselves tell you that the southern Cameroons, that the Northwest and Southwest, that as they refer to us, constitute 20% of the population. But look at their own census results that they put out there. I wonder if it gets even up to 10% of the population. But they know the truth. So what is the use for us to allow ourselves to be dragged into some kind of nonsense that really has no clear bearings? And because again, they want to keep giving you and I the impression that we're absolutely insignificant. So insignificant to the point where if we try to be on our own, we will never be sufficient. But nobody has to buy that. Because Gabon, next door there, doesn't have a population of 2 million people. It's a country on its own. Cape Verde, that is even sending its team to the 2026 World Cup, does not have half the population of the southern Cameroons. Equatorial Guinea is right there. I don't know if Equatorial Guinea has attained 1 million or 1.2 million people. They are a country. So we don't really have to allow some of these inanities come in, in the way of our thoughts and of our operations towards ensuring that we kick La République du Cameroon out of our territory. So these are things that we need to bear in mind. These are things that we need to continue working on. And then I will end this because I really didn't intend to drag so long. I just wanted to address these specific issues. And this by also telling those who are saying, oh, when you talk about people like Nkongo Felix Agbobala on your platform, on such a big platform as this one, you give him relevance because people don't care about what the guy is. I tell you, don't ever take these things for granted. Don't be surprised. I will always address them. I will always debunk some of those things very clearly and very succinctly. For one good reason. Because when we take it for granted that yes, the people will know the truth, the people are aware of the truth, the people are educated enough, the people will know that we don't have to pay attention to this. Just go out there and try to talk to a few people who have been listening. You will be shocked to imagine the things that they will tell you. Just like I was embarrassed that someone called me and said, no, how could Professor Carlson Anyangwe of all go on the air and say that there is no such thing at the United Nations like the Southern Cameroons? Like seriously. And then I thought that no. But when you hear the kind of people who tell you this, that no, that was very stupid, the kind of thing he said, that's wrong, it means he's always been an agent of the Republic of Cameroon in our midst and all whatnot, because sophists speak on that and take it out of context, and then your mind is lazy enough to do just a quick research and you fall to it. Whereas Professor Carlson Anyangwe simply said, at the United Nations, what they have is British Cameroons, not just Southern Cameroons, because British Cameroons was made up of two entities, the British Southern Cameroons and the British Northern Cameroons. Because the British took the territory that was given to them, being the former German colony, and broke into two for administrative convenience. So you see, you would take it for granted that no, people know these things, there's no point addressing them. No. In today's world, you definitely should address them, because the dynamics are no longer the same as they were of old, where people will listen to something and then immediately take it with a pinch of salt. The level of gullibility these days has gone so crazy that you don't have to take any of those chances. And that is why demagogues are finding their way very easily. That is why people who excel in lies telling are becoming the most popular today. Simply because people's minds are lazy, they don't go to find out, and because those who know that truth, those who know the facts, take it for granted that no, the people will know the difference, the people will know the truth. We really don't have to do that. So that said, I want to thank all of you who were part of this very impromptu and brief broadcast. It was, my pleasure being here. If this is your first time, please go right ahead and hit on that subscribe button. And of course, make sure that you personalize so that when something new drops here, you will be the first to know. And most especially, do not forget to, hit that like button. It goes a long way. Then do make sure to share the link to this communication as much as possible. And of course, drop your comment. And in that comment, don't insult. Let's stay on the issues. Thank you, everyone. To God be the glory.
Nos frères Ambaboy ont encore frappé fort. Voilà deux soldats qui nous ont encore quittés. Mais mes frères militaires là, policiers là, billes, vous défendez quoi dans le nozo? Vous cherchez quoi dans le Nozo? On vous parle d'un peuple qui se bat pour sa liberté. Comme le peuple francophone n'a pas le courage de se battre, comme nos frères du Nozo sont en train de se battre. Vous partez tout le temps là-bas. Vous endeuillez vos familles par rapport à quoi? Pourquoi? Pour ça, voilà Judith Rachid, PDG de Cantel, en train de faroter l'argent. Quand vous vous levez le matin, vous n'avez même pas de quoi manger. Vous vous levez le matin, vous n'avez pas de quoi boire. Vous n'avez pas la possibilité d'envoyer vos enfants à l'école. En 2025, on a volé vos élections. En 2018, on a volé vos élections. En 1992, on a volé vos élections. Un vieux père de 93 ans. Vous partez là-bas, vous daillez pour qui? Pourquoi? Voilà la plus grande tchélée du pays à qui on est en train de donner l'argent. Vous vous battez pour qui? Pourquoi? Les chrétiens coudés sont là-bas, mangent leur vie. Les Judith Rachid, PDG de Cantel, mangent leur vie. Tous les ministres sont là-bas, mangent leur vie. Vous vous gotez, vous daillez. Daillez même au moins pour la bonne cause. Ce n'est pas la secte pourquoi que vous êtes en train de combattre, les gars. Vous êtes en train de combattre vos propres frères, de vos compatriotes. On ne vous a pas envoyé qu'il aime les terreaux. On vous a envoyé qu'il aime vos propres frères. Vous allez vous partir. Et tous les jours, vous daillez. Vous croyez que nous, on peut être contre nos frères Ambazonia quand ils gèrent les mouvements comme ça, là? Vous croyez que nous, on peut être contre eux? Regardez la dame-ci. Vous croyez que si la dame-ci avait son salaire normal à la fin du mois, le PDG de Cantel est dans les 500, 600 000 francs CFA. Vous croyez qu'elle devait faroter l'argent comme ça? Les liasses de Didi Kolo. Vous êtes là, vous gotez là-bas. Parce que vos frères ont dit que non. La constitution de notre pays, on est une partie souveraine. On veut que les lois de notre pays soient les lois de notre pays. Paul Biapan, ses frères et Kambeti Boulou. Il envoie là-bas pour leur commander, pour leur dire ce qu'ils doivent faire. Alors que les traités du pays ne le permettent pas. Quand nos frères du Nord se lèvent, vous vous levez. On vous envoie avec le gun, le kilam. Vous êtes... Nos frères Ambazonia ont encore frappé fort. Voilà 2 soldats qui nous ont encore quittés. Mais mes frères militaires là, policiers là, billes, vous défendez quoi dans le Nozo?